I guess this is the semi-annual update with Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork on a Freaky Friday. We still have not had the bourbon tasting that was promised after the first conversation, but we are in Las Vegas for Big Ten Media Days.
Who's in charge of scheduling that? Me or you guys?
I think you have someone.
Must have been us.
Huh? I think you have someone who's scheduling it for you.
I don't know. It's probably us though, because if you wanted to get it done, you would have. You've been hard at it for this year.
You got to look at the month of August, maybe.
All right, there we go.
After a practice or something.
Yeah, well,
nothing like an 11:30
a little morning tasting. All right, there we go. We're off to a flying start.
When we switch to afternoon practices, then we can.
After August 21st.
All right, it's a perfect idea. He's Birm. I am Austin. This is The Beat, and we have Ross Bjork. What is it now, 13 months of full-time?
Yeah, pretty much, yes. July 1st, 2024 to into July as we sit here today. So it goes by fast.
Does it feel like it went by fast? Because maybe that's just a product of all the changes going on around here.
Yeah,
always something to do.
Anytime you're packed with your family life, being a dad, being a husband, and then, oh yeah, by the way, we have 36 sports and all the changes in college athletics and all the moving parts around Ohio State. And, being the new guy, you're trying to meet people. So that comes with a lot of new elements. You're going to be busy, which means it goes by fast, but that's good. That means there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of excitement. But yeah, I'd say overall it definitely went by fast, but just a ton of, exciting things that happened, in that first year. So now we got to capitalize.
When you gave us the 75-minute update there right after the House settlement, everything that was going on earlier in the month, it was really insightful. It was really helpful. Got a math lesson that I've been able to apply and feel a lot smarter.
Okay.
But it still feels to me like, all right, this was the guidance, but there's it's not close to done.
I know. As we're recording this here at Big Ten Media Days, we're 20 plus days, right, from July 1st.
Yep.
And that's when everything took effect. And that was June the 12th, I think, is when they had that. The judge approved it on June 6th. I think I had that session on June the 12th.
See, I've been in Vegas too long. I don't know any of the dates.
Yeah, the dates all kind of run together. And there's no question. Look, no one thought, oh my gosh, on day one, everything level sets and everything's perfect. And, we knew it'd be bumpy regardless. But then you think about, we were supposed to be up and running by July 1st. Well, the judge didn't sign it. We thought she'd sign it in April. We thought we had a runway. Brian Seeley was picked, several weeks before July the 1st. And those of us that were kind of involved in some of that, we knew that we had the right person, but we don't have rules published, right? We don't know what enforcement, is going to look like because that's not been built out yet. There are people, I guess, supposedly living under old rules or old structure.
Sure seems like.
I don't know if supposedly is even the right word.
We hear a lot of things that are happening in the landscape, but look, Ohio State's never going to panic. We're never going to overreact one way or another. But we do need the clarity. And look, our coaches need it, the athletes need it, the fans need it, athletic directors need it, legal counsels that we deal with, our businesses and our fans who still have the ability to be involved in NIL because they have a business, because there's a marketing campaign that they want an athlete to be involved with.
Right.
We all need this clarity. So look, I believe in the structure that we have. We're working daily to say, look, if we need to pivot, we'll pivot. Look, the coaches have the wherewithal, obviously, to pick the athlete. Who do they want to recruit? What is their value proposition? How do they see them fitting in, whether it's playability, whether it's, high-level, athlete that they think can play right away, all those things. That's really up to our coaches. But there's just a lot of uncertainty because you don't really know what's above the table. And look, every athletic director in the country knows what's happening within their collectives. Right. And if they're still operating under old rules, then it's our job to fix it. It's our job to say we wanted structure. Everybody in this room over here that we're pointing at, every coach, they all said, look, if we're going to settle this case, because there was no reason to settle unless we were going to have structure. So look, it's going to be bumpy. We just have to get through it. And I think there'll be a level set period over time. And look, Ohio State's always going to be on the right side of the equation.
So June 6th was the date that got settled.
Right.
Assigned into law, whatever, or announced as
law.
Right. There was some confusion, I think, I've heard, and you can clarify that's what you're here for.
Yeah.
Did everything go into effect on June 6th, or did everything go into effect on July 1st?
Yeah, see, that's
because it seems like a lot of schools have decided that they were just going to backdate some things to suggest that it was done before the settlement, which again would be
Look, if people are doctoring records and things like that, then it's
going to come out.
It's like what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right. But so here's the structural elements. So once the judge signed on June the 6th, the plaintiff attorneys still had to agree to the rules.
Okay.
The rules were written. They were then shared with the plaintiff attorneys after June 6th. And now you've had this collective debate. Okay, what are collectives allowed to do? What are they not allowed to do? But the way the settlement worked is the plaintiff attorneys had to, so that was a 30-day window, meaning in theory, if the plaintiff attorneys agreed on June 30th, okay, that's when they agreed to it. They haven't agreed to all the rules yet, even though we're past the 30-day window. And so that leads to, well, okay, are people just going to keep doing the same thing because there are no rules? There is no enforcement. There is enforcement.
Right.
There is a law firm that has been set up to work with the College Sports Commission that if people are violating the rules, there's a process for that. But in theory, June 6th really wasn't the date.
Okay.
And in theory, July 1st wasn't the date because the rules haven't been agreed to by the plaintiff attorneys, which means they haven't been published, which means they haven't been put out there where everybody knows.
That sounds like an absolute mess. So the question was, and you brought up the word pivot, and this is an important question that I've been asked 1,000 times from subscribers, readers, watchers in the last 3 weeks. We know that your desire and Ohio State's desire is this is the guidelines we've set up. These are the rules we're operating under. This is how we're going to move forward. But if we have to pivot, we will pivot.
Oh, absolutely.
What becomes the line in the sand for Ohio State, for you, for Ryan Day, to say we have to pivot now?
Yeah, look, I think that also goes back to, look, what do you think that player's worth too, right?
Sure, absolutely.
There's that piece of it. It's not just, we have unlimited funds and we're going to overpay based on
somebody else's desperation
or based on the market.
Yeah.
So look, we talked about it in that June 12th session. There are some people that may go, what do they call it in the NBA? Supermax
contracts, yeah.
3 guys are going to get all the money, and then the other, 11 guys aren't getting. They get below
veteran minimum.
So people may decide to overpay for positions. Here at Ohio State, we can go after the best in every position, but our 25th or 30th ranked player, who's going to be a really good player,
is going to be first or second.
They may be number 1. So can you compete against that in this era? That could look different. So look, is there going to be a breaking point per se? No. But every day something happens. Every day we can adjust. Every day we're building out third-party NIL agreements. I mean, just talking to our guys on this trip, I mean, they're people, they're agents, they're represented, they're involved in conversations every single day.
Every day, yeah.
Right? I mean, the Jeremiah Smith deal with Adidas, gets announced. That's a big deal for him, right? And he deserves it. So those deals are going to continue to evolve. Our Buckeye Sports Group is up and running. We're outsourcing. We're out in the marketplace. We have a meeting coming up here with our board of advisors that we want to stay plugged in. So, look, you can't just say it's not working after 22, 25 days. We knew this would be bumpy. And again, like I said, Ohio State's always going to be on the right side of the equation.
Are you still involved with the, rules and punishment?
Kind of the implementation committee. Yeah, there's still kind of some input that we're able to provide. I think a lot of it's, as Brian Seeley and his staff gets put together, is really like history of the conversations. Hey, this is what we first talked about. Here's where we really landed in terms of philosophical approach. So he's really kind of just gathering that intel from us. But as far as all the specifics of that our work is done from that standpoint, now it's just sort of input from perspective.
I sort of posited that, well, if Ross Bjork is on the advisory panel for rules and regulation and punishment and penalties, Ross Bjork, the Ohio State athletic director, can also be like, you know what, right now I'm going to work around him. I mean, that.
Yeah, and look, and even if I wasn't, what's the right thing to do? I mean, we will all sign an institutional agreement with the CSC that the president, that our board of trustees, that myself, that our coaches all will adhere to, saying, you agree to this structure. Every program in the country that opted into the settlement is going to sign that agreement.
Every Power 5 team.
Right. So again, look, athletic directors, coaches, we all know what's going on. There's not one coach that can't say, I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't know what my collective is doing. Everybody knows. And if people are allowing certain things to happen, then why did we settle?
Yeah.
And why did everyone else agree to the settlement? So there's a lot. I get it. There's a lot of angst, perhaps. There's a lot to unpack. That's a phrase, but there are so many moving parts. But again, everybody you talk to, they wanted structure. We have structure.
That's how many times did we hear guardrails?
We wanted
guardrails.
Durability.
Yeah.
So we have a 10-year window here. We can't give up after 22, 25 days because we need a durable system. And I know we can get there. We just have to fight through these initial startup growing pains.
Do you think the plaintiffs' attorneys' push to change the memo on the collectives is to me, that I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it. When you say don't give up after 20 days, to go back on that and say, well, this is what we said, this is what the memo has outlined. Yeah. Does that feel to you like giving up on the process after 20 days?
No, you really have to go back to the settlement language. The settlement language says valid business purpose for goods and services available to the public, or however that exactly is written. And then it talks about range of compensation. You really have to anchor to that because that was agreed upon. Plaintiff attorneys agreed to that language. Conferences agreed to. You have to anchor there. And I think what we're doing is we're getting caught up in the nomenclature of a collective. What is a collective?
It feels like there's boosters trying to bully their way into this situation to me. Right.
Look, if a collective is a business and they have a valid business purpose,
then there's no problem.
Then they can do whatever they want.
Sure.
And then it has to go through the NIL GO system and meet a range of compensation. But if a collective is what we think of a collective, where it's just donors paying an athlete because they love Ohio State or they love another program, that's what was changing. So I think we have to really redefine what is the purpose of the organization, what is the purpose of the business versus what we call it.
Yeah.
So those are the things that, and again, there's going to be creative things. I mean, there's creative things that we have mapped out that people will adapt to, right? There's creative things that people are sort of skirting right now because there are no rules, then okay, that could come back at some point in time.
Is it strange for you, philosophy-wise, to have to be in the middle of this change? Because for the last 4 years, as you said, like people could just donate money directly and they felt like they were contributing to NIL. Now I think a lot of people are like, well, this is in-house now. We don't have any part in it. But fans obviously still are important because fans are the people that have businesses.
That's exactly right. That's the key right there is anybody who is involved in donating, collectives, whatever you want to call it, if they have a business now, how do we engage with them? How do they turn their marketing dollars that they already allocate in their business because they love the Buckeyes? How can we engage them in these third-party NIL agreements? So that's the shift.
A lot of people for the last couple of years were very, I shouldn't have to donate to Ohio State football. Ohio State makes all this money. Yeah. And now it's like, okay, don't. But if your business wants to do something, then let's do something together. You'd figure that would actually give people like a sense of being even closer to the program, right? Because it's actually been done the right way.
Yeah, and then they can actually see some tangible, they see tangible work from the athlete. They hopefully see a tangible result. I mean, everywhere I go, how many former players are endorsing businesses and things like that? I mean, clearly those businesses see a value in that. So just think, if you really turn that into current athletes, what can happen, especially, in our marketplace.
Should we talk about something more fun?
What's fun?
I mean, do we need attorneys do we need like attorney?
I don't know. I
privilege,
just don't.
As we have these conversations.
We should move away from the NIL stuff. It is a headache. It is stressful.
And it's frustrating because we don't have the transparency. We don't have the rules. Fans see things. What's really true? What's not?
Yeah.
Against people may be super maxing. Where look, we have to spread, right? We want depth, and so there's a lot.
Let's talk about something more fun, like cutting sports. You've been very adamant you want to keep all 36, right? After a year at Ohio State, do you still feel that is not just possible, but likely?
Yeah, look, President Carter is going through a massive strategic plan initiative, and athletics is one of the priorities, one of the principles, the pinnacles of that strategic plan. And there's two things: best-in-class student-athlete experience and leader in college athletics. That's going to be our platform around athletics. And because of that, that means as many opportunities as possible. So we have found a way through lots of budget work, through growth of revenue, through expense reductions and reallocations, that we can maintain 36 sports. There are some sports where we reduce scholarships a little bit. And then there's other sports, 23 of our sports have more scholarships. And then 4 of our sports have, the revenue share dollars. And all of our sports can be involved in third-party NIL. So look, we found a way. And so if we're going to do it, let's invest as smartly as we can. Let's maintain those opportunities. But I also know this is not just a one-time evaluation. This is going to be ongoing. What does the landscape look like? I do worry about not necessarily us, but those sports that have not that many programs that compete nationally. I do worry about, are we going to have anybody to play? I look at like men's gymnastics.
Right.
There's only 12 teams, 12 programs that compete. 4 of them are in the Big Ten. So I worry about maybe others' viability. So that's what we're going to monitor. But look, we have great coaches. We have great athletes. We are losing a number of athletes because of roster cuts, even though there is a transition period around that. But that's the goal, and that's what we said at Ohio State. Broad-based, as many opportunities as possible, find a way to pay for it, find a way to recalibrate expenses. We've done all those things.
You and I had spoken around the NCAA hockey tournament, and I'm curious from an evaluation standpoint for you as an athletic director. When you are now evaluating coaches and where the programs are going individually, how hard is it to evaluate Ohio State's hockey program, which is not using that for revenue sharing, versus University of Wisconsin Whitewater or whatever that is putting all their money into hockey? Like, it seems like that program is going to be better. So how do you evaluate the coaches?
Or think about who we played in that tournament game, right? We played Boston U. They had 14 draft picks. We had 1.
It seems like a lot.
So in the new model, in theory, Boston University could spend $20 million on men's hockey because they don't have football. So you're exactly right. There will be a process where we will have to just say, okay, what are we stacking up against? Where are we at in the Big Ten for those sports that are still within the Big Ten structure? Where are we at nationally? I look at like lacrosse. You look at a program like Johns Hopkins, who's in the Big Ten, men and women. Again, in theory, those are the only 2 Division I sports that they have. Everything else is Division III. In theory, they could plow all their resources into those 2. And then we have to compete against that. So there's going to be a whole new layer. That's why we started our Center for Strategy and Intelligence, right? To say, how does all this work in this new era? What are the resources that we can provide? And so those are the things that are going to have to be part of the equation moving forward.
When we had you on the show the last time in December, right before the Tennessee matchup and the start of the college football playoff, there was so much angst, uncertainty, questions about Ryan Day, and you were, adamant. Long-term vision. This is the guy. The relationship is strong. I believe in Ryan Day. So it's not a hindsight situation. But did you feel validated by the run that went on? Was it important to see that validated? Because maybe if you didn't need it, maybe the fan base did. But there was no argument about what happened after that.
Look, there was angst leading up to kickoff. There was angst on that first drive, right? I mean,
I don't know.
Right?
When we saw Tennessee come out without shirts on, I thought that was a wrap.
Probably so. Look, there was angst. There's no question for that 3-week period. I don't look at it that way. I think in leadership, I don't think you ever want to have a moment where it's like, I told you so, like that. It just doesn't work that way. Look, I got to know Coach. I saw the program operate. I saw what happened after we stubbed our toe against Oregon. I saw adversity right through that, and we rebounded. We went to Penn State. Look, there was angst going into Penn State, right?
Sure, yeah. Nebraska game.
Could we survive a road game like that? Penn State was, building momentum, right? I mean, and then coming out of there, it's like, oh, okay. And then we stub our toe again. So I think, look, why I said what I said is it's true. We do have the right guy, but I saw everything in action. I saw how they built the culture, in the spring, in the summer, all the lessons learned, all the reliance on team leadership, player leadership. That's powerful when you have that tool. So just all those things. And then the whole strategy around Sunday and Monday that week was, I knew we were in the playoff, and I knew we had a great team. Our players knew we had a great team. Our coaches knew we had a great team. everyone could not have any doubt, from especially the players.
Right.
Just walking in on Monday morning, because if we would have let the void of talk show, podcast, ESPN, Big Ten Network, if they would have just ran with whatever they would have ran with, and there's no one talking, then I don't think that would have been good for certainty of the program, especially because we're in the playoffs.
Right.
So I just looked at it. It's the right thing to do in the moment to support our team. And I believe in Coach Day. I've gotten to know him. There's alignment from the president to the board to Coach Day. So I think it was kind of just a total package of here's the right thing to do, in this moment.
When you think 6-7 months later about those 4 games and the run and the response to, as you said, stubbing the toe there in the game, what's the first memory that comes to mind for you?
Gosh, there's so many. Probably the build up to that Tennessee game, right? I mean, they were going to take over the stadium. It was going to be Neyland North, and some people said there was 80,000 Tennessee fans there. I don't know how many were there, but they had a good number.
I gave them about 30%.
Yeah, that was a cool memory, and then obviously the way we just came out on fire, that was a great memory. And then to see all the reaction to the atmosphere. Best atmosphere I've ever been in Ohio Stadium. How do we replicate this moving forward?
Bring in 30,000 visiting fans.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what you want,
and
right?
have our fans a little ticked off about that, and our players ticked off. Right?
Well, it was a unique situation.
Yeah.
Like you can't duplicate it,
right?
But you're going to try.
Yeah.
I mean,
so each week, right? So that was a cool moment. And then then we had to go and play Oregon. It's like, is this going to be a shootout?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to be able to stop them? Are they going to be able to stop us now that we've caught some really good momentum coming out of Tennessee? And then the fact that we just, holy cow, into the first quarter, I think everybody was just shocked. And then you're in the setting of the Rose Bowl, magical. Flying back, we got back at 5 a.m, and it's like, okay, the next one. It was kind of awkward. We talked about this with the CFP staff as part of our feedback. I thought it was awkward that we're like getting a trophy and we're celebrating.
Yeah.
I remember going up to Coach Day with a rose and going here, and he goes, I don't want that.
No.
Job's not finished, right? And the Kobe clip, we used the Kobe Bryant clip, job's not finished. And then you go to the Cotton Bowl, and you're there a short amount of time. You had weather the day before. What's the travel going to look like? And then clearly, to me, the Travion play at the end of half. Like, if you didn't have that play, like, what is this? And then they scored to open the half. And then obviously the goal line stand and the Sawyer play. And, I did not watch the play, the 4th down play. I couldn't watch it. I went and stood behind.
You missed a good show.
And I just put my head down, and I just kind of put my head down. I closed my eyes, and I just waited.
When you heard the crowd, did you think we were in a very pro-Texas environment? So
the only thing that I thought is that we got to stop. That's all I thought.
Okay.
And I didn't open my eyes yet. And then I kept hearing the crowd get louder, and I'm like, okay, what happened? So I opened my eyes, I stepped down the goal line because the plays obviously passed. So I was like 2 feet on the field, and all I saw was Jack running and I'm like, what happened?
It sounds like you should have got penalized.
And then President Carter and I were high-fiving and like jumping up and down, and all the staff, and I mean, it was just a magical. And then obviously, the championship game and 3rd and 11, and Coach Day throwing his headset
you ever find
up into the crowd. I did. I was the one who found it.
It was you.
I was the one who found it. He literally threw it up in the stands, and it was like slow motion, and it landed on like a railing of one of the field level suites. And everybody else is in the middle of the field. And I went over there because I knew that'd be a valuable auction item or something. Like we could, again, back to raising money.
Well, running a program is expensive.
Right.
You can't just be
Replacing
replacing headsets every week.
Out, right? So I remember going out, and these people were like looking at it, and they're like, "Do we touch it? Do we grab it? What do we?" And I just go, "That's ours."
They probably regret not being a little more aggressive.
Yeah.
So I grabbed it and went and put it on a table, and that thing probably got auctioned 4 or 5. There's probably like 5 or 6 Ryan Day official headset national championship that we auctioned off and made some money off of.
Don't give up all the behind the scenes there.
Winning a national championship's fun. A lot of great success in the program in Ohio State athletics over the last year that has been beyond football.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest lesson for you in year 1 at Ohio State? I mean, I assume it feels at times just like drinking from a fire hose. But What have you taken away that maybe you didn't expect?
Yeah, there's so many things. Probably two things I would say is, one, everything we do is connected through the people, that relationships still matter, even though there's a lot of sort of chaos and uncertainty. But we're a small town in a big city, and you have to really hone in on relationships. And then the second thing that I would say that this probably struck me probably through the playoff run, maybe a little bit after, is there is still room to grow. There's still an upside, whether it's more donor engagement, whether it's more business engagement. Clearly the NIL space is changing, but we really haven't touched the full ceiling of what is the potential in terms of capturing the affinity, the passion, the power of our brand, Buckeye Nation. We have about 17,000 donors. Why can't we have 50? Why can't we have 100,000? If we have 11 or 12 million fans, why can't we have more engagement? And so we're hiring a data strategist. We're hiring more people in the Buckeye Club. How do we engage? So that struck me that a lot of people think we have it all figured out because we're Ohio State, and in many ways we do. But wow, there is still an upside, and that's where we really have to be strategic. We have to be smart. We have to reach out to our people. We have to bring. I think one of the things we can do is bring our program to the state. We don't really do that. We don't do an outreach plan.
So was it 2014?
Lots of things.
So Ohio State did their spring game at the Cincinnati Bengals Stadium because they were doing some renovations to the shoe, which there's renovations upcoming, right? So is there a thought to around the state every year to go to?
I don't know if you do like practices, but I look at Coach Day's window from really April after spring game to May. He cannot go out and recruit. Yeah. Could you take that window and do like a barnstorming tour, for lack of a better term,
Buckeye Caravan,
and go to 5 different stops? Just again, things like that we want to strategize around. And then look, there will be a call to action. That person who flies their Buckeye flag in Akron or Worcester or Dayton.
It's pronounced Worcestershire.
Okay, there you go. What did I say, Worcester?
You're right.
Okay. Look, is there a platform where they can do more than just fly the flag?
Sure.
Because right now they may think, I'm not going to make a difference. They have all the money they need. Like, what can we do? So I just, as I sit here and evaluate all of this, I just think there's an upside that is just untapped because we're Ohio State, and we should be that statewide public trust. I've said that 1,000 times, but I think there's ways to just do engagement that we just maybe haven't done before.
There is some engagement coming up. The first 3 practices will be open to fans. I think some tickets are still available.
They are.
All right. So Thursday the 31st, Birm and I are excited.
Buckeyes.com.
So you have the 31st, first, and the second. Media will be there too, and ready to get back into football. With Big Ten Media Days, it feels like it's finally here.
Here we go. People always say, hey, what'd you do this summer? Like, I took a little time off, and it went by fast, but you know what that means? Football's season's closer. So I got 3 teams this year. I got the Upper Arlington 9th grade Golden Bears. Our son transferred to Youngstown State. Nice. So I got the Penguins I got to root for, and then obviously the Buckeyes. So
it's that time of year.
We're a 3 football team family.
Well, it sounds like
it's going to be awesome.
We'll have a lot more to talk about at the end of the season when you come back for your semi-annual sit-down with us. We appreciate your time, Ross.
Appreciate you.
On a Freaky Friday edition of The Beat. Not as much fun when we're talking about NIL and house settlement.
I had a great time.
Did you? Oh, you loved it?
Super fun.
I'm just trying to learn so that I can explain this stuff that makes no sense to me, but Ross Bjork puts that in perspective pretty well. So thanks again for joining us and watching on 10 TV, 10 TV Plus, 97.1 The Fan. He is Birm. I'm Austin. That's Ross Bjork. We'll talk to you later.